and welcome to Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About provides a real understanding of social issues that bothers us as Christians. You are welcome to this week's edition. Today we have a special show, the personality profile with Prof. Florence Abena Dolphyne. Professor Florence Abena Dolphyne is a distinguished Ghanaian academic, linguist, the first female Ghanaian professor, and the first female Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, the premier university. I am Professor Vera Fiado, hosting you for today. Let me remind viewers that we are live on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and Facebook, Trinity United Church Legon. You can send your questions and comments on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996. Let me take that again. 0501 579 996. So, welcome, Prof. Dolphyne. In fact, let me start by asking the real question everybody wants to know. Who is Professor Florence Abena Dolphyne?
That's an interesting question. I am a Ghanaian, of course, and maybe most unlike most Ghanaians. Actually, I think in Ghana we have a whole lot of people who are, don't belong to just one ethnic group, if you see what I mean, yeah. My mother is Asante from Achinekrum, which is 5 miles from Ejisu. And my father is no longer around, but he was from Siama, that's in the western region, and in Zuma, yeah. And so my father started off as a teacher in Achinekrum. That's where he met my mother.
Okay.
My mother actually never went to school.
Okay.
She was the fifth of 10 children of my grandparents. And so my father met her in Achinekrum. And my father was a teacher in the Methodist school there. And that's how he met her and got married to her.
Oh, okay. And so that brought us Professor Florence Abena Dolphyne. So if I may ask then, siblings, if any?
There were, is it how many? 8 siblings.
Okay.
One passed, but the others are around. I happen to be the first one.
Oh, okay. Last one. So that's our big sister there. So let's understand your childhood. What was your upbringing like growing up in Achinekrum?
Achinekrum at the time was quite small. It's a small village, but it was I don't know whether it's the Methodist church that went there and set up a school or whatever, but everybody in the area knows us. Achinekrum is a Methodist place.
Okay.
And the church really has done very well. That's I started primary school there, and right now we have a secondary school which is doing very well academically. It's only 5 miles from Ejisu, and it's interesting. Everybody in the area knows about Achinekrum as a Methodist place. And everybody also knows in the area that education is something that we treasure a lot. So as I say, it now has a secondary school there. And, the students have been doing very well.
So are you able to share what your relationship was like with your dad?
Sorry, okay.
Are you able to tell us about your dad? Being the first daughter and all that, as you shared, what was the relationship
like? Typically, most Ghanaian men would want a son to start with. So I'm sure he wasn't too sort of excited when he had a daughter.
Okay.
But uh, my mother, being a Swanti woman, decided she was quite excited that she got a daughter. But it is true that my father maybe was disappointed. Actually, it happened that my sister was also, she came immediately after me. So I'm sure maybe on my father's side, he wasn't too excited about having two girls together. But it happens that, he took care of both of us and the other sister also that we had. And we all had, the best education that he could offer us. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. So I can see that despite the fact that you think your father was a bit disappointed, I'm sure you proved to be more than 10 boys combined. So what values were instilled in you that shaped who you are today?
I must say that I owe a lot to my father. He taught me everything that he taught a child. He was a teacher himself. So everything I learned in school, he made sure he taught me. And taught me a whole lot of things like, in Achinekrom, the church services were conducted in Chi. And he made sure that my mother never went to school, but he taught her to read the Bible in Chi.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. She was already grown up and everything, but he taught her how to read the Bible herself in Chi. Yeah. So, I mean, when I look back, it really impresses me because he made her feel that not having been through formal education didn't mean that she couldn't even read by herself.
That's quite inspirational.
Yeah. So I think looking back now as an adult, I think he did very well. Yes. Because he was, I don't think, maybe I wouldn't say so because they might get offended, but I would have said that in my own family members, if they were married they were like teachers or something, and married to a grown-up woman who now has to be taught from home, they probably wouldn't have done so well.
But that definitely made him out to be someone who was very forward-thinking.
Yeah.
Definitely a personality that shaped you. So when did you start schooling? And with that, you can also dovetail into your time at Gehe, Wesley Girls.
Those days we started school from class 1 at age 5. So that's how I started. And there was just this Methodist school there. And I went there from class 5. And then the system had changed a bit now, but then you go to Senate 1 in the 4th year. And Kumasi had, Achinekrom is just 12 miles from Kumasi.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it was, this college, Trinity, was actually in Kumasi, which is 12 miles from there. And my father had been through Wesley College, which was next door to Trinity College. So after that, he went and trained as a Methodist minister.
Okay.
At Trinity. So in that small area, there was Trinity College, there was Wesley College, and there was Mofotru, which was a girls' middle school. And so, he encouraged my uncles, for example. My mother had a younger sister who was maybe, I think Auntie was about 5, 6 years older than me. But he encouraged my uncles to send her to school.
Oh, okay.
And so she went through primary school, continued to Mofrotro, which was a middle school, and a boarding school too.
And so you joined her there?
In Kumasi, yeah. So when then, then she set an example that there's nothing wrong with a young girl, an Ashanti girl going, to school. And of course, I suppose my father just impressed them as a very friendly, sociable, whatever, pleasant person. So they paid every student. So because my aunties, there were my mother and then 4 aunties. It's only Auntie Felicia who went to school. She was the youngest. So she went to school.
So I understand you went to Mafrasho yourself.
Yes.
And then to Wesley Girls.
Yeah, it's from Mafrasho that we went to Wesley Girls. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how was your time as Wesley Girls? And I also understand you did Infanticum. Marry the two, let's see.
Yeah, well, I went to Wesley Girls, and after Form 5, Wesley Girls didn't have enough teachers for sixth form.
Okay.
Because
Achimota
School probably had just got a few girls, in sixth form at the time. And this English woman who was our headmistress just felt that there were not enough girls who would be allowed to go to sixth form, even by their parents. Yeah. Because at that time, girls were a little older. In fact, I remember everybody thinking that my mother must have really been very unkind to let a little girl go to boarding school, if you see what I mean, because they tended to be much older. So, yeah, Auntie Felicia went through Mafrotro and then, continued to nursing. But I went to Wesley Girls, and after Form 5, we didn't have a sixth form.
Okay.
Because our headmistress didn't have male teachers teaching in a school.
Okay.
And there were not certainly senior female Ghanaian teachers who would be able to teach the sixth form level. But we did have European, British particularly, white British women who were teaching in the school in the upper forms. So eventually we had, we didn't have enough science teachers.
Oh, okay.
So actually, we just did O-level science for the school certificate requirements.
Okay.
But nobody in, I think the first 3 or 4 years when I was there, ever did sixth form science.
Okay.
And then we didn't have Ghanaian, not enough people to teach the sixth form science. And the few British women who were there just taught the arts subjects. So we just did what was required for O-level requirements. Maths, biology, and chemistry, or something like that.
Okay.
So we did the sixth form science, yes, but we couldn't do sixth form science because we didn't have enough science in O-level. So we went to Infancy and did the humanities there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why I went to England. So we stayed at Ose Girls, and the school lorry took us to Fransman for
Okay.
classes
So you were more
and
like day,
back.
day students at Infantsman
Yes, we
and
were
then
day students at Fransman.
okay.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you went on to the famous University of Ghana
Yes, after that, yeah.
and then University of London.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you read at the University of Ghana and the University of London?
At University of Ghana, my first I did what at that they called honors. I did honors English, which means that I did literature and language
Okay.
only. For the four subjects that we did, and of course the general paper too at the time. So it wasn't much later that we had sixth form science when because the numbers were coming up, the headmistress eventually got some English women, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we got two French.
Okay, so I believe you really enjoyed your time at Wesley Girls and more, but now I'd want to know Legon. So Legon, you did the language,
Linguistics.
linguistics,
Yes,
and then the
yeah.
University of London also linguistics for a master's.
Yeah. In fact, okay. In sixth form, it was literature, and we did three subjects. Yeah, English literature, geography, and geography. Yeah, there were three main subjects: English literature, the general paper, and geography.
Oh, okay. So professionally, what got you into academia? Why didn't you go, let's say, corporate? What got you into the world of teaching?
You know, in my family, the thought of a woman becoming like a senior civil servant didn't sound right. I'm sure the men would just make such a mess of your own personality. They will tease you, they will make all sorts of very rude comments and so on. So it just wasn't on.
Oh,
It wasn't on at all. I mean, you know, in my time, a woman beyond secondary school was quite a
that's
novelty.
a rare thing.
And that's why we didn't have such set format Wesley Girls, for
I
example.
guess so.
We had to go. I think Holy Child didn't have a girls set format there.
I'll have to check, but I think a number of them also flipped back and forth
Yeah.
in other schools. Yeah.
So when you think of it now, it's like we just hopped, stepped, and jumped, for the women because it was. Set form, I think there were only how many of us?
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
or 6 in lower 6.
So that literally
Yeah.
motivated you to avoid the male-dominated areas and try academia. So you decided to just teach, but in the higher.
Actually,
education realm.
in those days, there weren't many women in any profession outside of nursing and teaching.
Yeah.
I'm sure any woman in some like the public service, civil service, and so on, would be messed up so much she will leave. I mean, people will tease her, you are challenging the men. Things have changed so dramatically, you have no idea. But yeah, so we just, and having done geography and English literature and that sort of thing, even I didn't do French, for example, for level in my time, mostly because it didn't. Because we didn't have enough French teachers. And Miss Compton would not have male teachers come to this.
So that clearly puts you at the. So definitely you were, should I say, at a time when women were not popular in a lot of places. So Even as you went on to become an academic, can you walk us through? So you came in, typically we do know that you are appointed as a lecturer. Any specific positions you held and how you handled some of those? Any experiences you can share?
Well, I must say that the experience we had in influence film did us a lot of good because it gave us a lot, you wouldn't believe it, a lot of self-confidence.
Okay.
Mr. Battels just was so happy about us because we could write simple English that everybody can understand. The boys will write a sentence, and half of the words in the sentence are at least like half a line long in the exercise book.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
When he made us feel good. I always say that, you know, the self-confidence we got in advancement was incredible.
Oh, okay, that's
We would go to assembly hall and just, you would make a statement like, why don't you boys learn how to write articles?
Oh.
And you will give an example of a sentence somebody has written of about 8 words, and there are 5 of them. The words are so long, they feel like, you know, it was really something, and I think that's one thing that really made us feel good, because Mr. Atas would take the opportunity at an assembly meeting and read quote something from something that a student has written or put on a notice board about some announcement. And they are all such long words.
Oh, wow.
And then you say, the girls never use such long words. Why can't you learn how to write simple English? Because English doesn't depend on big words. I think that's one good thing that advancement did for us.
So that you built that confidence. So how did it feel then when you walked through the ranks to be named the first female professor ever in the history of the country, and later on the first female pro-vice chancellor? How did it feel then?
Well, the good thing was that, you know, as I say, it's advancement that actually exposed us to a mixed environment outside of primary school or Springside anyway, but advancement was really, really something that changed our attitude, because Mr. Battels really went out of his way to write a sentence, you know, out that some boy had written, and give the equivalent of what a girl has written, and put it to the notice board, and ask them why they can't write simple English.
So with that confidence that you gathered, with that exposure within spending time at Infantical, were there moments when you felt like giving up? Because, of course, being named the first female professor and then subsequently the first female pro-vice chancellor, and pro-vice chancellor at the university is quite a high up, meaning that you were leading an institution that was likely made mostly of men.
Yeah.
Were there times you felt like giving up?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
I think what advancement did to us was to make us have the confidence that the boys are no better, but you know, than us. Okay. They had the advantage we had was that we had the teachers too at advancement, and all the teachers. Actually, I think we were just lucky we were not living on the same campus, because we went for classes after 2 o'clock. After lunch, we went back to like that, because the way we started teasing them, we sat in the dining hall, you know, in different tables, and normally the cooks in Wesley Girls knew that, you know, the boys were normally not given the nicest preparation. That was the thing. So we wouldn't eat all the food there, and we go back to Wesley Girls and have our lunch, and dinner there. But that type of environment made it possible for us not to be scared of the boys, and so that gave us the confidence to also, do well in other things. But I think actually, for me, having been through Mofotro girls' school for primary school, and then going to Wesley girls' school, and then in Fansum after that, meant that, of course, we only went for classes, and then after lunch, we went back to school. So it gave us some room to build our own self-confidence, over time, yeah. So that was good.
I definitely get the sense that from what I'm listening to you saying, confidence was key. It
Very much
helped
so.
you to assert yourself, not to be intimidated in a space where you find men, and that definitely put you in a position to achieve what you did, to become the first female professor for that matter, and also a pro-vice chancellor, which is no mean achievement. So, yeah, confidence clearly will keep you going and not feel like giving up. So I'm sure we'll come to speaking about faith. You mentioned that your father trained to become a Methodist
Minister. Yeah.
So how did faith in God help you through the journey?
It really gave me, in particular, a certain level of self-confidence, and I later on I realized that I had sickle cell anemia.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't the strongest healthy person.
Yeah, but faith in God helped the journey.
But my father was something else. You come, you feel ill, he knows you've got a temperature, and he will let you sit on his lap, put his hand on your head, pray very sincerely. And I was the first child, and then followed by my sister. My sister was much healthier as a person, and but it was my father just felt that he was not going to allow. And he started with 2 girls, so he had to do some measures like that, yeah. So I think that was a big advantage. And actually, the only thing that gave me a lot of confidence, you haven't been in Ghana long enough to probably hear the story that the Nzima people, Kwame Nkrumah, I think particularly, was the one who gave them that courage to be talking like that. Or they proved that the Nzimas have witchcraft.
Oh, okay.
So they had supernatural powers. So if you do anything against an Nzima person, you are in trouble.
Whoa.
And then to have an Nzima girl, and I think the only Nzima girl, there was another, but she didn't go to the form. She was my senior, but didn't go to the form. And she also happened to have an Nzima father. See, and Nzima people supposed to do. I think it was because that's why Kwame Nkrumah also succeeded, because they said that the Nzimas have got supernatural powers.
So you do that.
And which is rather, I'm sure, annoying for some people, because my mother is Ashanti. I grew up there, and then you think that this man has come and taken over. Yeah. But I think that, and in school, once you are doing well and people come and ask for help with their work or something, and you help them, they don't resent you. And then in fact, I was the youngest in the class, through secondary school, and they just felt that maybe if I had been bigger, then maybe my personality would have been a problem. But it didn't work out like that.
So let me remind viewers that we are live on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and Facebook, Trinity United Church Legon. You can send your questions and comments on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
back to the show. We're still here with Prof. Dolphyne. So I'm still trying to experience what you experienced as an academic. So were you a head of department, and what were some of the experiences? We can remember any that you would want to share.
Yeah, I was head of department for a while. You know, we rotated in the university.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, I head of department, maybe for an academic year, and then somebody takes
Somebody
over.
else takes over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was, and
Left us
I
alone.
think that would teach a lot of interesting skills that you be in power one moment and then you'll be out of power the next, and so you need to learn how to
Exactly.
work with people.
Get on with everybody so that
I think that shaped you. So any other role? I think you were in Walter Hall, so you became warden.
Yes, I became warden at some point, and it's really it's like a little administrative job,
Okay.
and you know, in the hall system, you also have senior tutors.
Yes.
Tutors and senior tutors who really are the senior sisters of the
The
students.
students to take care of them.
So if they need help, we go to them and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So the real responsibility when you are in the whole system is just make sure that everybody's okay. People are, if somebody is ill, you make sure that they get the right attention, because some students, if you don't keep an eye on them, they don't want to miss classes and that type of thing.
Oh, okay.
So that
And
was.
then you rose to the famous position, Pro Vice Chancellor. I can't get enough of that, so tell me something more. In the midst of the men, was anybody not competing for the role? Would you remember something, any competition, those who may not have wanted you to get it, given that it was a time when women were not so popular?
I don't know what it is, but really, I happen not to have the sort of personality that made people feel that I was aggressive or something, you know. I suppose that was number one. If I had been tall and big, then they would feel my presence.
But your presence was still felt. You
No,
became
but
the Pro Vice
it's
Chancellor.
interest. It's because I know that that must have been part of it.
Okay.
Because most of the time, you know, and these are boys,
Yeah.
okay? So I think if I had been a big, strong person, they would have felt that I was challenging them or something.
Okay. So it means that your softer side also worked wonders in this case. I better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was part of it. And then being Pro Vice Chancellor was something, you know, I think the fact that I happened to have had a father who was a Reverend Minister made people feel that I was a good listener. I could listen to their problems and that sort of thing. So people just were not like intimidated by me. They would relax and talk and so on. And I think they also believed that I wouldn't go tell everybody about them and that type of thing.
Okay.
So I think that's, but I never had any serious problems with anybody, whether in the hall or in the university.
So listening to you, I'm gathering that yes, your demeanor inspired confidence. So of course that also positioned you to become a leader. So it's something that I believe we can all learn from. Having a posture that inspires confidence from others, and so most likely if there's a need for someone to lead, that's a lesson we could all pick up.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I'm picking tips actually. I'm picking some tips here. Okay,
Well.
so typically, give us a little gist with the Office of Pro Vice Chancellor. What were some of your responsibilities? Anything you could share?
As Pro Vice Chancellor, I had administrative things to do, but the at the personal level, what was important is that I had to strike a certain level of relationship which allowed the junior, not so senior academic staff, they really are the problem. They would come and make complaints about whatever is going on, and my job was to make sure that I gave them the confidence of whatever it was, we try and see to it. And I think that worked. And it also meant that, of course, at the university level, it's not like secondary school where you get seniors bullying the juniors. So, it meant that you become like a senior sister that the boys particularly will have confidence in you to come and talk to you about whatever their problem was. And I realized that particularly with the boys, once they feel that you're a good listener to their problems, they will come and all sorts of petty, what I probably would say petty problems. But obviously there were things that were bothering them.
Okay.
And they needed a big sister to talk to.
Okay.
That really, I think, was the issue. So they would come and talk to you, and you try to resolve the problem for them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what actually drew you into the field of linguistics in general? Because yes, you became first female professor, but your area was linguistics. I do know that the second lady who held the position of Pro Vice Chancellor, so after you, also a linguist.
Oh yeah. She was.
So
the
that's Professor Nana Banfu, currently the first female Vice Chancellor for Legon. And so I'm curious, what about linguistics made that area, appealing, interesting? You did literature, like you mentioned, and something else.
Yeah, I did. I did literature, but the language part for when doing English was just English.
Okay.
But with linguistics, you just dealt with the Ghanaian languages as well.
Okay.
The structure of the language,
Okay.
what some people will call the grammar, but then we do more than that,
Okay.
So that was what the linguistics was about. And it tends to be more sort of technical. And it's interesting because it's more, as I say, it's technical. You have to be able to analyze the structure of individual words, the sentences, how you use the intonation to convey meaning, and that type of thing. And then what also it involves is, which is particularly important and relevant in Ghana, is the translation from one language to the other. It's when you look at the Ghanaian languages, the way we use proverbs in expressing things, the way we, the structure is different from how English uses its structure.
Then you must have a book.
Pardon?
You have a book on any of those, maybe?
Yes, because you need to produce them for the students too.
I think we'll need to look for those and make sure that people get to look at them critically. Maybe we'll have more linguists emerging because of the show. Anyway, so the linguist has spoken, and so she became Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana. And then she tells us there were moments she didn't feel like giving up. Of course, we are thinking, but it's because she inspired trust from her peers and all that. And so that actually played a key role in that leadership role that she held. Now, faith in God, you tell us Daddy played a very good role in that and shaped you, the confidence and all. You're a Methodist. Any favorite hymn you have? Maybe we can even help sing along.
It's interesting because I was telling somebody who came, when he came to talk to me about this interview, and I said, one thing I'm missing now in Ghana generally is that everybody's child has to speak English from year 4 because the parents are educated and the child is in school. That's all there is to it. In my time, you only started speaking English when you were in class 1, which is now class 4.
Okay.
You know? But now every child in a village wants to speak English, and the mother doesn't understand the word they are saying. You know, it's really very upsetting because it doesn't help the child. Because the bonding that a child needs to have with the parent isn't there. The fathers don't have time. The mothers who have the time are too scared of their children because they don't understand what they want to tell them. You know, it's something that really, really is a source of bother for me. But now, that has become the fashion. I was telling one Reverend minister the other day that growing up in Achinokrom, we never use the English hymn book.
Okay.
We use the Ghanaian, the Tree translation.
Okay.
You know, and I remember growing up, my favorite poem was the hymn in Methodist hymn book, A Safe Stronghold, Our God is So a Trusty Shield and Weapon, or something. I don't know whether any of them remembers it. You know, and I learned it in Tree.
Okay.
The Tree hymn book. Because actually, I'm in a village there, who is going to sing some long English hymn that half of them don't understand.
Exactly.
You
Well,
know?
I have a comment by Ruth Redu. Says, great woman and very humble. I'm sure at this point you're inspiring so many. You're inspiring so
Yeah,
many.
because, you know, in fact, the thing is, and my father just loved the Tree hymns. So I remember my favorite one is the English version is A Safe Stronghold, Our God is So a Trusting Shield and Weapon.
Okay.
You know, and the Tree one says, and every verse is about 10 lines or something long. But, you know, when you read it, it inspires so much confidence.
Your local,
Yeah.
speaks to your soul. I believe that's.
Yeah. And even today, I mean, you're a banker, you know, and when you say it in the Tree, you understand exactly what the person is saying. And I'm really impressed as to how people translated those hymns, got the right words to carry the meaning.
The beauty of the
words. And as I say, that particular, the verses are long, about 5 lines, 8 lines or so. But growing up as a child, we sing it in church, and that was my poem. And I recite it and so on. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not just a recitation. You understand the meaning of what you are saying.
Okay.
And if you really grow up in an environment where you have to say these things, you believe in what you are saying as well. I think that, you know, the church is losing a lot because of this the language issue. And now everybody wants to speak English. Your mother doesn't understand what you are saying, and you think you are impressing everybody in the village. In the meantime, nobody understood whatever you said. So what is the impression you left? No, I think that having done linguistics and seeing how languages operate in different environments, I think that we are actually not helping our young people by speaking English to them at home. Because I tell you, the number of times I've been to people's homes and the child comes and, making a lot of noise, wanting attention, and oh, go away, don't you see I am busy? In the meantime.
Speaking of children, I believe that the Dolphyne is the married name.
Yes.
So being married, being a professional, any insights? How did you juggle those? In fact, if we had more time, I would have asked where you met Mr. Dolphyne. But
we actually met in Accra. He was an aircraft engineer at the time.
Okay.
And a friend of somebody whom I had known in Legon, and he was. They had been mates in Achimota before.
Someone is curious to know, how did you juggle married life, possibly children, and then the professional life? Any?
Well, I must say that I was lucky in many ways. One of them was that my husband was an aircraft engineer, so actually initially, when he got married, he wasn't in Accra all the time.
Okay.
So I had some time to myself to do a whole lot of work that I needed to do at home and in the on campus. And also one advantage I had from him was that he was like an aircraft engineer working with Ghana Airways. So I could go to conferences in West Africa and in Britain, everything.
Definitely. That created an enabling environment.
That was also a very helpful thing because I could go to conferences.
Okay.
So in West Africa at no cost really.
Yeah. So it goes to show that, in fact, that the marriage actually created more of an enabling environment. So you were married, that his schedules allowed you to work, and so I'm sure when he was home, then all the attention was for him. And then we benefited also from the traveling
the
that allowed you to
conferences
go for conferences and therefore get the exposure. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So an enabling environment was created. We have a comment from Chris says, has been a secret admirer of Prof. And so it all started in the days of the National Reconciliation Commission. Okay, in the early 2000s. Notice her calm yet courageous spirit. God bless you mightily, Mommy Florence. That's a sweet one there. Crazy doable. We are grateful for that comment. So we go on. You juggled marriage, everything. So looking back, what would you have told your younger self if you were looking at her today to inspire her, maybe to keep up or whatever? If assuming you were speaking to a younger version of you, or most likely yes, a young person listening to us today who could become great, what inspirational message do you have? Anything you want to share?
I think what I'll tell particularly the younger women is that, you shouldn't take anything for granted. Many people, both men and women, resent women who are in a senior position and are always looking out for the little faults you make because you just told somebody off for something that they did, or that somebody came with a long complaint, which is perfectly unnecessary, and they wouldn't take it kindly if you tell them that you don't need to react in this sort of way and that type of thing. But it depends on how you deal with them. Somehow I sort of, maybe because I happen to be the eldest child, so I know that let people who, and all of them will be younger anyway, or about the same age, let them understand that, look, you don't have to take everything personally.
That's good.
You know, and when somebody does something that is wrong, let the person understand that really, if you had done it this other way, it probably wouldn't have upset you or upset the other person. You know, so just keep cool. People lose their tempers too quickly.
So a calm demeanor, and
Yeah.
of course, maybe I get the sense that even if you have to criticize, maybe it should be more of constructive as opposed to just telling people off. So that's another one that we're going to pick from there. And so for the young ones out there, it says you learn to comport ourselves better, not get angry too quickly, and then, in fact, from the earlier sessions, definitely be someone who inspires others and inspires confidence in dealing with others. Yes. Okay, so as we engage in this inspiring conversation with Prof. Dolphyne, we are also celebrating the experiences of women whose life exemplifies resilience, faith, and leadership. So, of course, her journey from childhood to becoming a pioneering academic and a champion for women's empowerment shows that one can do anything when one combines hard work with unwavering faith. So she aced it all. She was married, an aircraft engineer for that matter, enjoyed a very enabling environment. So that, I believe that also goes to the men out there who are listening, who would want to have versions of Prof. Dolphines in their home. It means creating an enabling environment so they can thrive and flourish. And so through her story, we are reminded that success is not merely about personal achievement, but more importantly, breaking barriers and paving the way for others. I remember once dealing with another lady who has broken a few barriers, and she says, whenever you're given the opportunity, know that it's an opportunity to open doors for another lady. And I believe Prof. Dolphine's experience is one such. She created the pathway, and of course, her dealings have definitely made it possible for other women to also follow suit. And so for that, we are very, very grateful. So, final words, anything else you want to share before we start wrapping up?
Oh, I just would say that, you know, if you are a woman in a senior position, you always have to understand that not everybody is happy about you being a boss.
Tell me about that.
It's you know, because unfortunately, even men who have older sisters resent the whole idea of a woman being a boss, you know. And it sometimes bothers me because I know some women who really have a good heart and want to do very well with their staff and everything. But they, you know, I'm a kind myself, but the expression of basoso is something that really annoys me, you know. And as if your mother is a woman, okay?
Exactly.
And she raised you. You know, everybody has their faults, but to just dismiss somebody because she happens to be a woman, it's not right. It's not, and I must say that the women who tend to be difficult in their offices as bosses, most of them is because of the way the other people handle them. You know,
The environment.
the environment is hostile, and so she feels that she must assert herself
Exactly.
all the time,
Okay.
and that's it's not even normal.
Well,
for a
Okay.
human being.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that over time, when people get more female bosses who are perfectly normal human beings and who treats everybody nicely, and you know, they will also get the same sort of response. Because once you make a mistake and react angrily to somebody who has really annoyed you, that information will fly around so quickly. It will take you another century to change it.
Correct it. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's some good. So even as we conclude, we hope that her words will encourage the next generation to pursue their dreams fearlessly, hold on to their faith, and uphold values that shape a better society. So Prof. Dolphyne's story is not just one of personal triumph, but a legacy that would influence generations to come. Now tell me about that. I know that I have definitely learned a lot. So all too soon, we have come to the end of this edition of Let's Talk About. We have been joined by Prof. Abena Dolphyne, Professor Florence Abena Dolphyne, who is an academician, or if I would like to call that an academic, linguist, the first ever female pro-vice chancellor of the premier university, who took us through her personal life. And so join us next week for another thoughtful discussion. And thank you very much. I am your hostess for today, Professor Vera Fierdo. Thank you once again.